Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and it's time to get wealthy. You're going to learn exactly what you need to do to achieve the level of financial success that you desire and you deserve. Have you been in pursuit of the American dream? You followed all the rules. College, multiple degrees, check. Six-figure career, check. 401k, IRA Roth, check. And yet you still feel financially insecure. Those dreams of retirement and travel are getting further and further away. Well, you're not alone. And today we're going to have a conversation with someone that followed all the rules and learned what she needed to do to finally get wealthy. So here are the three things they don't want you to know about getting wealthy. First is time on the job does not really mean more income. The other is you need to diversify your income. And finally, and this is most important, you have to make the shift from an earner to an owner mindset. Well, that's exactly what our guest that we're going to have a conversation did. Sophonia Hartway followed all the rules in pursuit of the American dream. She has multiple degrees. She's a systems engineer, and she's also a business owner of a franchise. Well, Sophonia, welcome to Get Wealthy.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm excited to have you because I feel like, based on what I know, I described kind of your financial journey. And so today, what I want to talk about is just the different mindset, strategy, and executions that you had to take in order to get on your pathway to wealth. So let's tell the audience just a little bit about yourself, Sophonia.
First of all, I'm from the South, and the South is more, they're more conservative in the things that they do, especially when it comes to money. I attended North Carolina A&T. I got my degree in computer science from A&T, and then I came up here and I got my master. And I'm here in the Baltimore area. I got my master's in computer engineering. Worked for the government for a few years, and then I went contracting. But now I switched to being actually a 1099. So I work for myself in that aspect. And then along the way, had kids. And then I also always had in the back of my mind, I always wanted a business. I was like, oh, what does that mean? What does that look like? But over the years, I've always just taken the time to listen to others. So I put things in place as I went along. So when it came to like insurances, you can use the cash value for things that you want later. It's just so many different avenues that you can take. But the 1 month goal that I've always had, and I listened to Dave Ramsey, he said, if you want to live like no other, then you have to live like no other. So when I met you, I was like, oh, Deb is on that track. So I was like, you know what? Let me listen a little bit more and follow your rules. And that's what I've been doing.
I love it. I love it.
Appreciate it. So if you want to live like no other, you got to do things like no other, right? So that's how it is.
I love that, Sophonia, because what you're really describing is the mindset shift that you had to make. Right. So that's really what I want to cover with the viewers today. The framework that Sophonia had to really take and apply in order to make her shift from earner to owner and really learn how to become wealthy. So the first thing really is, how was she able to make that shift and really learn how to turn her income into wealth? And then next, what were the strategies? And she talked a little bit about them already, that she needed to begin to apply so that she could accelerate her financial growth and get on the path to wealth. And then finally, how could she finally begin to execute on those strategies so that she could make some smart money moves? So let's start. So when we come back, we're going to start with the conversation around the mindset, those attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors that she alluded to coming from the South that she had to change in order to really begin to get wealthy. So when we come back, we're going to delve into the mindset that shifts that Sophonia had to make in order to accelerate her financial growth. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Let's be honest, as successful women, we're crushing it. Maxed out 401k and Roth IRA? Check. Aggressive savings and investments? Check. Yet, the freedom our success was supposed to buy can leave us stuck on the six-figure hamster wheel, watching retirement slip further down the road. There's another way. Get coaching courses and community at wealthyu.com.
Welcome back. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and we're talking about getting wealthy. So now we're going to delve into the framework that Sophonia used really to accelerate her financial growth. Mindset, strategy, and execution. Now we want to talk about the mindset shifts that Sophonia had to make. So Sophonia, let's talk about that. I mean, I find it really interesting that you talked about the fact that you're from the South, and so that meant having perhaps more conservative mindsets. So let's begin with, where did you kind of gain your attitudes and beliefs about money? What was your first lesson around money?
My grandparents and my parents overall, they always had like several jobs back in the South, back in the 60s, 70s. You know, things weren't as plentiful as it is now. So my father always had two jobs. He worked as a barber and he also worked as a steel worker in my small town. My grandfather did the same thing. He was at the manufacturing job, but he also had a little side hustle as a grave digger. So I always saw multiple things going on in the family. And then they slowly went to real estate and they started buying houses. I'm like, what are they doing? What are they doing? So I was like, okay, as you're growing up and I see it, and then I started like, oh, I can do that too. Yeah, why not buy a townhouse and rent it out? You know, why don't I just get some roommates? So over the years, I've always had roommates here and there in my house. And I always said, oh, that's extra money.
I love that. But, you know, I do find it interesting, Sophonia, that you really follow like the middle class path that your parents. So did your parents really instill in you to get that education and really saw you shifting to more of a professional kind of lifestyle? Or do you feel like you're observing how they their path to financial success influenced you as well?
It's both. It's opportunities that they didn't have that I had. They gave me that option and I just ran with it, but not sure how I was doing it. They always said, just go to school. If you want to go to school, we'll go to school. My father paid for my education undergrad cash. He paid for it. So that lets you know it's not about what you make, it's what you do with it that determines your success. So he paid for it. When he did that, I was like, that's what I want to do for my child. And I want that to be the legacy in the family. So when I moved to the professional, I was like, you know what, I can do a little better with it because I am making more than they did. And they did it. So I was like, okay, I can do this as well. What do I need to do to get there? And I just started searching out different avenues from there. It was just the right people, the right group that you're in, your friends. So all of those added up as time. And then I just slowly applied. And I just built upon what they were showing me.
That's interesting because you mentioned too, I mean, North Carolina, AT&T, HBCU, then you, Loyola, Maryland, my alma mater as well. And yet, in terms of your education, did you learn anything about building wealth in your formal education?
See, funny you said that. The entire time I was speaking, I mentioned nothing about my formal education. Isn't that weird? Nothing except that I obtained those degrees. That's it. Nothing else. So it wasn't about the formal, but the formal was a catalyst to other things, right? So you need one to go to the next. But it's like I never really, no, it had nothing to do with, except that it helped me pay the bills.
To your point that you had all of this formal education, when you think about the fact that you have a degree in computer science, you're a systems engineer, talk to us a little bit about your educational experience, and throughout that time that you gained your education, how you learned to maneuver and use that knowledge, perhaps consciously or subconsciously, to build wealth.
Okay. So I said, I will take this. The formal education part. Some people say you don't have to go to school. You shouldn't go to school. Okay. I am a critical thinker. That helped me along with my critical thinking on how I want to be strategize what I wanted for myself. So if you don't go to school, that critical thinking may not be honed in as much as you would like it to be. But if the formal education allowed me to explore that more, be around others who have the same critical thinking type of skill set. And then they were able to help me strategize just the small things in my life to make sure I achieve the goal. So when it comes to applying and goal setting and following through, you learn all of that, I believe, in the formal education part. But you still need that foundation of where you want to plant your seed in order to grow that strategy and the goals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think I said that right.
No, I love that. I love the way you frame that because, one of the things I know about you is that even though you had that formal education and you had a pretty successful career, certainly hitting that 6 figures and beyond, just in terms of your income, there were still some things that you did that, in terms of investing in real estate. Share with us a little bit about that, though, even though you didn't have the knowledge or, a mentor around how to build assets outside of just a job. Talk to the audience just a little bit about intuitively what were some of the things you knew you had to do.
As time went on, you got the education. I got it checked, right? Then I had my townhouse, which I still have today. And I wanted to move to a bigger house, right? So I was like, let me take this as an opportunity to make that into an investment property. So as I took slow walks, I believe, as time went on, I asked folks, I looked around to see who was doing better. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to leave. Number one. I don't like being the smartest person in the room because I'm not learning anything. So I've always aligned myself with someone who's always, just a little bit more about everything. So I just wanted to make sure diversification was in my portfolio. Diversification doesn't mean you need to have a whole slew of things, assets, and different things going on at a time. It could be you just have your investment property and you can have a portfolio. So I think if we take our time and stop take the pressure off of ourselves in regards to that, I think we could slow walk it with more confidence. So I just took the time and just started focusing on diversification. And if I were to get sick, if I don't go to work, then what income do I have? Did I have my long-term insurance? Do I have a short-term disability insurance? So all of those diversification type of things that we call is important to the bigger goal of everything. So I just slow walk myself through all the things that I needed to have in place for that framework you're alluding to. You must have a small framework of how you're going to take care of yourself in the event this happens. I'm a plan for the worst scenario type of person. My daughter hates it, but I do that. I was like, I'll double check, triple check. And I'm okay with paying extra more just to have the security there. And some people are not. It just depends on where they are.
Well, I love what you said, because I wonder if your engineering background systems really,
yes.
have influenced that approach. So I love this conversation, and just a couple of things around what you said around your mindset. It really is interesting that watching your parents entrepreneurial and having those kind of multiple and side hustle jobs, that never left you, even as you gain more kind of a formal education and more income. And so when we come back, I want to explore the next part of the framework, which is the strategy. So folks, don't go anywhere. Love this conversation with Sophonia Hardaway, who is sharing exactly what she's been doing to get wealthy and what you can do too. So when we come back, we're going to delve a little more until the next part of the framework, and that strategy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and it's time to get wealthy. And we've been having a fabulous conversation with Sophonia Hardaway about her path to wealth. And so we've been talking about the strategy, the framework, mindset, strategy, execution that Sophonia really applied. And now, Sophonia, I want to talk a little bit about strategy and some of the strategies that you've used. As you say, you've slow walked, and I love the way you frame that, because that's really how you get wealthy. Many people, fast money is an oxymoron, and I love that you've been sharing with the audience your path. So now I want to delve a little bit into strategy, because even though you didn't have your parents did sort of conventional things, side hustle, additional income, buying real estate. One of the things that you had to do as you went on in your career is invest, right? Mm-hmm. So talk to us a little bit about, what did you need to do to really start building assets? Who did you go to for help?
Okay, so the first one is your job. Right, we all had this financial planner that came to each of our jobs and talked about investing. And some says, quote, air quote, they want you to buy their insurance as well, right? So I was like, oh, that's my first step. Make sure that I'm covered for my family and I make sure I'm good, right? I took advantage of the 401k, and some matched and some didn't. But my dad, again, I'm gonna allude back to him. He said to me, make sure you put away for a rainy day. Make sure you're putting away money for retirement. And that's always been since day one. He said, make sure you do that. And I've always done that since day one. And I've been working like 30 years now. So it's like, I'm glad that I did that, even though it wasn't as much as I would want to a particular year, or things may happen, but I always was consistent in that. And consistency is what works. And as the time went on, I noticed that, okay, insurance was a big deal. Let me just check out this insurance and cash value. And what does that mean? I got the insurance. My dad said, you need to go ahead and insure yourself. Okay. Again, Deb, it's another thing, another checkbox that my dad mentioned to me, right? So I followed through, got the insurance, got the cash value, and I was like, whoa, wow, this is working. But I really didn't pay much attention to the cash value until I wanted to buy my franchise. So those
I wanted to explore that with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about what influenced you. I really look at that as moving from earners. So you've had this, a stellar career. You've done quite well as a systems engineer, and yet you're still seeking out other ways to diversify, right, and build wealth. So what was the thinking behind you pursuing business ownership?
I wanted to retire early.
Okay, that's a good tip.
That was the main goal. It wasn't anything else. I wasn't even thinking about it being a wealthy thing. I just wanted to retire early and be able to take care of myself and be comfortable, right? So that's my goal in all that it is. And again, I'm going to loop back to what Dave Ramsey said. If you want to live like no other, you got to do things like no other. And that's basically what I've been doing. And over time, those small steps that I said, again, slow walk, and I took advantage of the advice that people gave me. It just now, at the time when I wanted to buy my business, I was like, whoa, I'm in a better position than I thought. And I was able to use it versus most people who have a 401k, they wipe out their 401k for their business ventures. I didn't touch my 401k at all, period. So that was a blessing in disguise. But again, slow walking and paying attention to advice and actually executing is what made the big difference for me.
So you had your 401ks, you were with an employer. You mentioned earlier that now you're part of what you do is self-employment and 1099. Now, with that, you didn't get that 401k or the other things that you would had you stayed with a corporation. Talk to us a little bit about some of the other strategies that you had to do to still make sure you were saving toward your future, but also doing it in a tax advantage way.
So with the 1099, I'm considered a self-employed person. That helps me with my taxes, right? So that also gave me more cash to be able to invest and save for myself. So working for an employer, you get what you get, the taxes is there. But if you're a self-employed person, again, the tax advantages are you're able to cut back a lot the taxes, your taxable income. And that cash that you're getting every month, that extra cash, whatever it is, can go toward actually investing in something, not buying Louis Vuitton and Gucci Wucci, but going and actually investing some money for yourself. See, I like nice things, but I'm not going to go broke doing it. That's just how it is. So that extra money was being invested. I invested it. I didn't play with it at all. And then when I met you in the group, I just was able to take it to the next level and use that strategy a little bit more. So
I do want to talk about as well, though, because and I think this is for many viewers. What I find really interesting about you, Sophonia, was that throughout your journey, one of the things you have relied on was financial advisors. And yet, even though you had a financial advisor, one of the reasons that you sought Wealthy You out was because you felt like you should be further ahead. You really weren't sure. And so the question I have for you just about was what, and you said you joined the group, right? Wealthy You. Talk to us a little bit about how you were feeling just in terms of you thought you had applied some strategies, but you didn't feel like you were further ahead. What made you seek further help?
Frustration, not having the information. Like I said, I'm a critical thinker. I need all the information to make a decision. And I felt like I just wasn't getting the information. I would ask questions like, oh, you don't need to know that. What do you mean I don't need to know that? Can you just take the time to explain it to me? And right, I may not need to know it, but I am paying you to explain it to me. But it's just that they never did. And so they will put you in these vanilla I guess, assets or portfolios, or what are they calling these? Yeah, portfolios that allow you to get money, but not as much as you could be getting. And you don't understand what you're actually invested in. You may not be invested in, I don't know, the KKK based on the company that you don't know that, but you're able to, in the group, you taught us how we're able to investigate and actually research companies to see who's actually the owner. If it's something you align with socially, you just never, you're able to change that. You get that information to make that sound decision. But having a financial planner, they don't know. They take a test. They really don't know. They just take a test and they don't know how to apply. And most people who are doing it, their finances is all jacked up. This is how it is. But they are able to give you this vanilla shape step by step, but they can't explain to you how it actually affects your money. And you're not like everyone. Everyone's situation is different. So joining the group helped me to realize that and gave me the information that I need to take it further.
I love that. So when we come back, what I want to do with the audience is for you to share with them some of the now that you had the strategy, you had more, you were 1099, you saw the tax advantages to that, you got more expertise, you gained more knowledge. Now, when we come back, I want to talk about how you really executed on that knowledge. So don't go anywhere, folks. We're having a fabulous conversation with Sophonia about her journey to getting wealthy. We'll be right back.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Welcome back. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and we've been talking about a framework, mindset, strategy, and execution that our guest Sophonia Hardaway has used to really accelerate her financial growth. Sophonia, first, let me just say thank you for just being so transparent about your own personal journey. Mm-hmm. So thanks so much. So now I want you to talk a little bit about, so you've used kind of like you've made this mindset shift from earner to owner, and you really always had that desire. Now that you were able to access more knowledge, mm-hmm. right, and start thinking about some of the strategies that you could employ to accelerate your financial growth, talk to us a little bit about, once you learned more information about analyzing and researching mutual funds, your existing portfolio and stocks, what are some of the things that you've executed on now that you know more?
Researching more, asking more questions, and 3, changing, just updating your choices. I know I'm in the process right now. This is a 2022 to sit down and actually go through all of my assets and diversification and see if I still want to be where I am, or am I actually reaching the goals that I want to reach, yearly. And because of the market has been up and down, I'm pretty safe. I think I did like 30% overall, but it's like you have to know when to move and when not to move. I try not to use like the information we get in the group. Sometimes it could be overwhelming, Deb. It really can. But it's like I just sit back and I slow walk and take what I can take, and I move when I can move, and just slowly understand my goals and try to implement, slow walk it as much as possible to get where I need to go.
Well, I do love that you brought up the point that sometimes it can be overwhelming. And I'm sure there are people listening to this program that are saying they're too busy, I don't have enough time. Let me just, hand this to someone. Talk to them a little bit about how you have been able to basically adapt to your own situation and go at your own pace.
So I know one time, one of the having that financial plan, I called him a couple of times and I said, well, I don't want that anymore. No, I'm not comfortable with that on. He said, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. But that made him think about me a little bit more. So now he calls me more often than he did before. And he's like, are you okay with this change? Are you okay with this change? And I was like, what is that? What are they about? Et cetera. What is this? What are the expenses? What is the fee for that? So I'm able to ask more questions about it, and I get more respect, I think, now than I did before. So I slowly take the time. It can be overwhelming. You're not going to get it all at once. It's not perfect, but the fact that we're taking the time to invest in our own money by learning and applying, that's still a win. It's still a win.
Well, I love that you said that, because what I see is and I'm sure what our viewers are seeing as well, is the confidence that you have and that you're exuding around your finances, around making savvy money moves. Talk to us a little bit about, like, how has the increased knowledge that you have reduced some of the fear that you may have had about making decisions on your own?
Yeah, the unknown wasn't a good place. It wasn't a good place at all. And just putting all your assets and all your money that you work hard for into someone else's hand, it's not a good thing. We shouldn't do that. We should have some say in where we want our money to go. And we should have some say on how we want to invest it. So it's like, okay, this confidence has been pretty good to me. I may not get it right all the time, but as long as I get within a percentage of what I'm looking for that year, I'm okay with that. So it's like, it would not have been that way if I hadn't said that. I've been getting like 15% or 10% on something. Now I can get like 25% or 20%. Yes, a little bit, but it does add up over time with the compounding of the assets. So you just, the confidence itself, just knowing where you are financially, has been awesome for me. Just knowing, like, I know now. I assumed before, but definitely I know now.
Yeah, it's just so interesting hearing you go from when you started out, and I asked you about your what caused you to seek more knowledge and information. You said is you felt like you didn't know, and you didn't like the feeling of not knowing. And now you know. And so just in summary, what would you say to anyone watching this program around the shift that you made overall from earner to owner? You're now a self-employed, part of it as a consultant, running your own business. What advice would you give to people just based on the greatest impact that all of this has had on you overall?
Don't follow the Joneses or the Johnsons or the Scotts or the Smith. Go for what you want in your life. Sit down, plan it out. Don't have to be perfect, but plan out your finances. It's really, really important that you do that, because if you don't spend it, it'll definitely be spent for you. So you definitely need to take that time to review it. Get a couple of girlfriends, have a glass of wine who you think you can trust with your knowledge of your assets. You don't have to be perfect about it. Just the strategies and what are you doing to get to retirement, because we're all going to get there one day, and we all need to be aware of where we are. We're on our 50s now. I'm in my 50s. My birthday is today. Woohoo! So I'm 53.
Happy birthday!
And I'm like, I have got to get it together. I'm like, I'm on this show today. I'm like, oh no, I have got to get it together. So that's more urgency for me. That's who I am, right? So I work on urgency when it comes to me and being on a timetable. So, and everyone may not be like that. Just don't follow anyone. Find out where you are and what you want, you in your life, not the Joneses, Scotts, and Johnsons, but where you want, and then start pulling back. Just pulling back. It may not be for you following them. It may or may not. But I definitely say find out your goal, live like no other so you can live like no other, and execute.
I love that. Sophonia, thank you so much for coming on Get Wealthy. And I love that you really shared with them the most important aspect of all. And that is we all have our own kind of wealth levers, investment opportunity levers that we can pull, and that we need to do it on our own pace. And so, Sophonia Hardaway, thanks so much for coming on Get Wealthy and sharing your financial journey with all of us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. So don't go anywhere, folks, because when we come back, I really am going to share with you an overview, analyze, optimize, maximize, so you can apply and learn how Sophonia made her shift from earner to owner. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network. All right, so welcome back, everybody. Now it's time for you to learn here's what you need to know. Let's just review the steps that Sophonia took. First, she had to increase her financial acumen. For so many people, you're kind of out there in the dark and you really don't understand what you need to do. And so what you need to do first is, and Sophonia said it, was really assess where you are. What is it that you need to know that you don't know now that you could really accelerate your financial growth? What knowledge do you need to have in order to really have a better conversation with your financial advisor and so that you can hold your financial advisor accountable? Secondly, optimize. Once Sophonia was able to really analyze her performance, she was able to have a better conversation with her financial advisor about what her goals were, the fact that she wanted to be more aggressive and that she wanted to accelerate the kind of returns she was having in her investments. And so that meant really having a full-on conversation with her financial advisor about what she wanted. And then finally, she was able to maximize her income and her investment. She was able to make an assessment, the fact that she could invest in her own business. She was able to maximize the kind of investments that she was making for her business, as well as based on her income, and have tax advantage investments and take advantage of all of the investment opportunities that were in front of her. And what I want you all to know is that if Sophonia can do it, you can do it too. And so when we come back, I'm going to break down the next steps, the 3 things that you need to have gotten from this show that you can apply right away to accelerate your financial growth.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and welcome back to Get Wealthy. So was that an amazing conversation with Sophonia? She really is an example of what it means to shift from that earner mindset, just relying on that one income, to owner mindset, to knowing that she could not only diversify her investment portfolio, whether it's a 401k or anything else, but also that she could invest in a business and a franchise and also build wealth as well. So here are the three things you need to know from this show. And first of all is diversify your income stream. I love what Sophonia said about the lessons that she learned from her own parents. Even though they may not have had the formal education that they were able to provide her with, there were some lessons in there. And she learned how to diversify her income. She watched her own parents have multiple streams of incomes and then invest in real estate, and she followed suit. The other thing is take ownership of your finances. For far too many people, they're relying on the advice from others and not really being able to assess whether or not the advice that they're being given really is the in their best interest. And then finally, have the knowledge and information you need so that you can evaluate your advisors. When you learn how to analyze and research investments on your own, it allows you to take ownership and basically will give you the confidence that you need to make further decisions as you go on your journey to wealth. And so that's the three things that you need to know from the show. And now it's all about mindset, strategy, and execution. So I can't wait to see you on our next show where you'll learn more about how you can get wealthy. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and you're learning how to take ownership of your financial success so that you can achieve the level of financial success you desire and you deserve.